Hello, my friends. Welcome to our time to share a little bit about understanding your inner world and how it's a part of creating your outer world. So, here we go. We all have a lot of life experiences, starting from the time that we were born. And those life experiences will sometimes shape what we believe, what we feel, and what we see. This can be dependent on so many factors like the continent you grew up on, the family you had or didn't have, any experiences, whether there was trauma in your life, whether there was absolute amazingness in your life. It all gives us a lens that we're seeing ourselves and the world through. And that becomes our inner world, like glasses that we wear. And that shapes how we interpret what's happening in the outer world. For example, if I've had the experience and it's in my program somehow, in my patterning, that I believe difficult things always happen to me, then anything, my antennas, my internal antennas go out and I start to interpret anything as slightly challenging as, see, bad things or difficult things always happen to me. And it's coming through my own filter because another person may see it quite differently. They may not even notice that difficult thing. They may just notice it as part of the experience of life. So we want to understand this about ourselves. Why? Because we want to become the conductor of our life. We want to feel like we have some power in it. We don't have control over what happens over the outside. Life happens, experiences happen. Those we have no control over. But we want to maybe have some power with how we interpret it and how we use it in our own life experience. So, what do we do? How do we do this? The first step is you want to start to understand what your patterns, programs, or beliefs are that are shaping the lens of how you see yourself in the world. How do you do this? There's a few ways that I'm going to explain. First is becoming self-aware of what your thoughts are, what goes through your mind that you might not be saying out loud. Let's say you are maybe at work and you're attending the weekly staff meeting. What are the thoughts that are going through your head that you would never say out loud, whether it be about the other people or yourself or the whole situation? That starts to tell you the filter from which you are seeing your world. If you are driving, walking, taking a transit system, what are you perceiving? What are you believing? Again, is your mind quiet? Or are there thoughts or images going through your head at that time? If you have thoughts or images going through, it may let you know that there's a program or a certain perception that's running. Now, that's really helpful because when we have an awareness, then we're able to shift it. First, we need to know what the first awareness is. So this is where you're using your outer world, your experiences, to better understand what's happening on the inside of you, even though you're listening to the inside of you. The other way to do this is to listen, if you can, or even record yourself about how you are talking to other people. An example of my own, the other day, my partner had a friend come and he said something to the effect he was saying goodbye to me, and he said to me, "Don't work too hard." And I found myself saying, I could hear it saying, "That is the story of my life." In that moment, I became aware of the lens I'm walking through, So right now I'm consciously pulling back from how much work I'm doing because that lens is suggesting that I'm not satisfied, I'm doing too much. So that's just a little example. You'll hear yourself all the time, just like you hear others, and you can see what they're believing and feeling and perceiving. So we're going to do the same with ourselves. So once we have some awareness, what do we do with that? The next step we go into is having some care, compassion, consideration, and connection to ourselves. Why is that important? Because on average, we tend to judge ourselves as, for example, I shouldn't think that way. No, just have some care and consideration, compassion, and a connection to where that may have come from. Could be childhood things that we developed, beliefs, could almost be someone's voice in our head from our childhood or a teacher, for example. So we want gentleness, we want thoughtfulness, being kind and considerate. Once you do that, then remember that our brain, it doesn't know the difference between reality and real, my friends. So we get to start training our brain. So if you're aware of the patterns, now we're aiming to shift it. We're aiming to create a new neural pathway and a new energetic pathway inside of ourselves. So what do I want instead of the pattern that I've realized? I'm going to use my own that I gave you earlier of working hard. Now I'm going to start imagining. I'm going to create images in my head. Some people have difficulty using images. You may use thoughts or sentences of, oh, I'm looking forward to just resting and relaxing. Or, oh, I'm passionate about whatever I do. I'm loving whatever I do. So I'm giving a new set of instructions. I'm becoming the conductor of my inner world and creating a new lens. You want to keep repeating that. Now, if you repeat it for about a month on a regular basis every day, it starts to form a new path. You are now going to the gym of your mind. You're training your mind. You're training your focus of where you want it to be. You're in charge versus feeling that your mind is in charge. So we're switching it over to your soul, your spirit being the conductor, your real kind of inner divine brilliance being the one who guides the journey of your life and how you're interpreting whatever the experiences are in life. So I would invite you for just a moment so you can see how the brain works. Is I want you to take a moment. Take a deep breath. So it's like our mind is a neutral palette. Then I want you to think about something that was not a great experience. It could be waiting too long in line for something. It could be having had an experience of being in traffic for 2.5 hours and having nothing to do during that time. And just remember the feelings, sensations, and thoughts. You will probably notice that it's very uncomfortable. Now, I want you to go and think of something really soft, beautiful, peaceful. It could be maybe the nature scene, an ocean, a forest, a mountain, maybe your favorite pet, maybe a newborn child, something that brings ease to you. And notice your sensations and feelings and thoughts and see how they become different than the first experience. And what you will now notice is neither of those experiences are actually factually happening in front of you right now. We had your mind create them for you, and they created a bunch of sensations and experiences. So you start to see how powerful we are, how much control we have if we become aware and conscious that we can use our knowing, our spirit, to really conduct where we want our mind and our thoughts, our emotions to focus in on, no matter what's happening in the outer world. You're giving directions to the brain, to the mind, and to your body what to feel. So I'm going to leave this with you to be able to play and consider, to go out and experience yourself in your outer world, but to notice what's happening in your inner world and then start playing with it and challenging it. Have fun with this. We'll see you again sometime. Have an amazing day being the brilliant conductor of your life.